As we get older, we tend to take less risks. Scientists have long tried to pinpoint exactly why we become more cautious with age, with many blaming environmental factors. But our brains may be blamed. Researchers have found a clue from brain scans which reveal changes in gray matter. Running for the conversation, Anishka Tamila, a neuroeconomist at the University of Sydney, looks at the science behind the choices people make. Whether it comes to financial planning, extreme sports or dating, some people are willing to take more risks than others. Researchers have linked several socio-economic and demographic factors with the degree to which people tolerate risk, and age consistently comes up when making financial decisions. Older people are more likely to pick safe options with secure but smaller payoffs than options that yield higher but uncertain payoffs. In other words, older people tend to avoid financial risks. Age and other demographic and socio-economic variables, however, are not the only determinants of individual attitudes to risk. With the development of non-invasive techniques to measure brain structure, researchers have also looked for biological links. In a 2014 study, we found the volume of gray matter in one specific brain region was linked with young adults' attitude to risk. Young adults who had less gray matter were less willing to take risks. A decline in gray matter volume is a natural element of healthy aging, with parietal regions particularly affected. Generalizing this finding, you could say it is the decline in gray matter volume rather than chronological age itself that drives the change in attitudes towards risk as we age. This is precisely the hypothesis we tested in our recently published paper. We recruited more than 50 New Yorkers aged 18 to 88 who we asked to choose, in private, between a safe option of receiving a certain $5 and a lottery that offered a larger, but uncertain, payment up to $120. We changed the size of the lottery reward and the likelihood of receiving it to find out exactly how much people need to be paid to take the risk instead of the definite $5. We measured the volume of gray matter in their brains using magnetic resonance imaging. It turns out gray matter volume in the posterior parietal cortex is again linked to attitude to risk. Also, consistently with previous research, older people who took part in our study were more risk-averse and picked the lottery less often than younger participants. But crucially, once we accounted for individual differences in gray matter volume, age was no longer linked with attitude to risk. This result suggests it is the pace at which our brain changes as we age, rather than our age in years, that affects our decision-making. There may be many reasons some people's gray matter volume reduces faster than others, but we know a lot of it has to do with what we do every day. Many researchers feel comfortable making the analogy between the brain and muscles. The way we use our brain affects its structure in a similar way that our choice of physical activity affects the shape of our muscles. At this point, however, we don't know whether and which brain exercises could affect your brain in a way to make you more tolerant to risk, or even if particular exercises could target the posterior parietal cortex. Our study shows a link between gray matter volume and attitude to risk. To find out if one causes the other, we would need to use more invasive techniques, such as transcranial magnetic stimulation, which temporarily reduces neuronal activity in a localized brain area. We also have only studied a particular part of the population, healthy adults living in New York. These participants were making decisions between very specific, well-described monetary options. More research is needed to find whether the results hold in the general population and whether we can extend them to the decisions that involve risky health or social outcomes. It's encouraging to see there is an overlap in the map of brain regions involved in decision-making with a variety of rewards, as it suggests our results may at least to some degree extend to how people make decisions other than financial ones.